Hi, Jenna.
Hi.
I am so excited to have you here. So, for those of you that watch regularly, Jenna Libman, you might recognize her last name, is the granddaughter of Bruce Libman, my co founder of Ultimate Client Strategy and the original founder of Accountants Resource Group. Jenna, welcome.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So, often Bruce and I talk about, um, are entrepreneurs born, or can you teach somebody how to be an entrepreneur? And your story till now kind of validates Bruce's perspective that you're born an entrepreneur. It's in your DNA. So I'm excited for you to share a little bit about your story because it started before you even understood what this was going to look like.
Yeah, I always date back. Like I always talk about my first clothing business that I had when I was in high school when I would go to Goodwills and other thrift stores and resell clothing to either like my friends in the school hallway. And this was like when Instagram was in its origins. I made an Instagram page. I used eBay, Poshmark, all of the reselling websites and kind of just did it within my community and then I started shipping it out nationwide, but I also consider that as like a main focus, but I also date my entrepreneurship journey back to when I was really young in elementary school when, I started getting to like video games and things like that. And I would only exclusively play like entrepreneurial video games where you're making money, you're building a little business. And all I wanted to do, dating back to when I was probably like when I got my first GameCube, if you know, you know, and I would like focus on just making money within my games. I would learn financial tips without even realizing it, like how to save your money, how to invest your money just within these games made for children, which is so crazy. And I got into YouTube when YouTube kind of came into fruition as well, when I was probably like in fourth or fifth grade, started making videos with my toys and then they introduced monetization on YouTube and I learned how to monetize the narratives that I made because I'm still to this day a big storyteller as well. So I'd make up stories, make up episodes. I would do all the editing by myself and post them to YouTube. I kept it a secret from most of my friends in school. I was like, I'd be so embarrassed if people found out I was still playing with toys. But I ended up making, yeah, it was a big secret for a long time outside my inner circle. Nobody knew. But now it's kind of like I scream it from the rooftops because it was kind of crazy that I made about $300 when I was sixth, seventh grade and just making these stories up, making these videos, doing the editing. My parents bought me a little Sony Handycam camera and I would film in my basement with my littlest pet shop and make them bebop on the table and it would become a whole video and I'd
That's
make
great.
multiple series out of it and eventually it started monetizing, which of course $300 in the grand scheme of things isn't crazy amounts of money, but to a middle schooler like that was massive and it was my fun money at that point. And eventually obviously I stopped doing that, but segued into high school when I would resell clothing online. That was a very important part of my life for 10 years or so. Between 16 and 26 I kind of fell off of it. And yeah, that was also my disposable income through high school, through college, paid for my textbook money, things like that. And it was
So I want to pause you because college is interesting. I always found it interesting. You chose a major and then chose the college based on the major, right?
not necessarily. I picked the school, like I majored in marketing, and everybody has marketing. Like we have in Georgia, particularly, there's a lot of really good schools for business, and so I couldn't have made a bad choice. But I kind of picked a choice that wasn't the I was picking based on location, based on just getting a fresh start, and the fact that I didn't know a lot of people there. I kind of wanted fresh perspective and meeting new people because I feel like that's an important part of being a well-rounded adult and business owner as well, is like learning how to network and put yourself out there and put yourself in new positions. So that was something even like subconsciously I was considering. But as far as like picking my major, I always was like, yeah, if I go to any of these amazing schools in Georgia, I'll get a good business education.
So entrepreneurship, I thought was the major. So I didn't realize the major is marketing, right? And you studied entrepreneurship a little bit under that.
Yeah, I minored in entrepreneurship.
Okay, understood. Um, so when you went through college and you're studying marketing and entrepreneurship, how'd you see your future? What'd you look at from the formal education you were getting versus the practical education you gave yourself? Um, what did the future look like in your senior year of college?
So I was in college from 2017 to 2020, and obviously that was a very strange time to be a young adult and entrepreneur. But at this point, the gig economy hadn't really taken off. Entrepreneurship had a very traditional lens. Like I think the way that I was even, studying entrepreneurship was from like a product-based lens, or it was like Shark Tank to me, where like people come and they do elevator pitches, and you have to make full PowerPoints put together. Like it was a very like what's the terminology? Just like very academic lens as well, which fits in the parameters of a textbook versus I feel like what I'm actually doing in real life. Of course, there are so many skills that I can pull from without even realizing from my college experience, but a lot of it I was like this just feels like I'm reading a textbook, making a PowerPoint, going on with my day. Like it doesn't feel like that I'm actually implementing something that I'm going to like I'm not going to start a business right here and then take it outside. You know what I mean? And so it was very much by the book, which is totally fine. But I feel like that's a very traditional, old school way of looking at things, even though it was less than a decade ago. The perspective on entrepreneurship has changed so much. Just the fact you can pick up your phone and make money by filming yourself online, that was not as much of a thing back then.
Absolutely. So the gig economy is really interesting. And it's changing
Yes.
from the evolution of it, right? I mean, even I'm going to date myself here, but even in the mid 90s when I built my first internet company, um, we couldn't have imagined, what we would be doing on our phone today. It wasn't even a thought. The whole thought was, what would the adoption rate of desktop computers look like in
Mm.
5 years? So it's a very different thought process. And every year from when I started working digital and a variety of things, the pace in which change happens, I think at this point is not even possible for all of us to keep up. So just in the short time you're doing, and it's not a short time, but a decade is in the scope of things, not a lot of time. But how has it changed? How has the pivot, in each transition of technology, how's that changed what you do?
So let's take the origin of YouTube, for example. It wasn't as simple as filming, I mean, there were no iPhones. I don't think at that point you couldn't just whip your phone out, film a short video, minimal editing, slap it on the internet. I'm sure people did with their big chunky camcorders, but I just think the process was a lot more intricate, a little more like a lot more work went into it. But nowadays, TikTok's origin, I think 2019 was when TikTok became a thing. You can pick your phone up. You don't have to do any editing if you don't want to. Slap it on the internet in a couple of clicks. Could go crazy viral and change your life. Like it's a totally different algorithm as well, where if you're posting stuff, let's say on your personal Facebook, your personal Instagram, it's probably just going to stay within your inner circle. But with TikTok, odds are it's not staying in your inner circle at all. It could be pushed out to millions and millions of people.
That's great. That's great. You do a variety of different things, but I want to talk about relationships because you and I have often had conversation about, what real relationships look like, what a balance of a professional relationship look like. People that don't meet the criteria, they're immediately eliminated. So let's talk a little bit about what professional relationships look like in your world. My world's a little different, right? We have a path and a methodology about how to build trusted long-term strategic relationships. And I'm curious what it looks like for you.
So when I first started freelancing back in 2020, after I graduated college, I was taking on any client, any relationship who would have me. And that's not the right way to do things at all. I mean, it was a good start and I don't, have any regrets about how I started, but it came from a place of desperation and
Well, we all need to eat. And in the beginning, you feed yourself. So it's okay. And then
yes. Nowadays, I even when I give advice to people, I'm like, you cannot operate out of desperation because it shows. And your relationships, I think, are the first to falter when you operate out of desperation. So because I was taking on everyone, I was taking on people who were not good fits for me and personality wise, or that were even worse, straight up disrespectful to me because of my age, because of my gender, like name anything you can think of, like it probably happened to me in a client relationship. And nowadays, let's skip forward 6.5 years later. I get obviously that it's a privilege that I have worked to get to this point, but I get to be picky with those relationships. And I'm not just taking on anyone who comes my way willing to sign a check for me. I'm going to pick people who I get along with, who respect me not as a lower level employee or as an intern, but as a fellow professional who brings a lot to the table and has the potential to make your business do well if we are respectful to each other. And, if you have an understanding that I'm here to help you and you're also here to help me, like we're going to help each other grow and it's going to be a productive relationship. But, in those early couple of years, I was taking on at anyone and everybody. And, it was a lot of lessons learned because of that.
No doubt. I think professionals I work with as well, you never stop learning about relationships. And I'm still surprised on occasion by people.
Yeah.
But there is a thought process and there's a methodology about building long-term strategic relationships, creating accountability, making sure expectations are managed and are clear. There are a couple of key components, no matter what business you're in, that really drive those relationships. And then you work with not just kind of mom and pop Main Street businesses. You work with some very significant brands.
No, yeah, I don't even really work with super small businesses anymore because it's the fit's usually not there as far as like the ability to scale together. And that's a very blanket statement, of course. But from my experience, I've been able to step in those doors with like the mid-size to larger brands, and it's easier to build professional relationships with people who have already built themselves up, if that makes sense.
Sure. Okay, so now the question: what is it that you do?
So, gosh, I'm glad you're giving me more than one sentence because one sentence would not be enough.
No, I want you. I mean, I have a general idea of what you do, but I'd like you to share really what you do.
So in the present day, I market for brands, and that's the most broad way to do it. And then when you get a little more specific, I create content for brands to use on their social media, specifically in ads or sometimes organically on their feeds. And that would be like UGC is what it's called, user generated content, where they're paying me to be the face of the brand versus a giant celebrity or a giant influencer who, it's going to be a pretty penny to get, an A-lister to work with you. And then it may not even pay off. And because that person maybe doesn't have the consumer behavior knowledge, consumer psychology knowledge in their heads to be able to make a converting video. And that's where I differentiate as in my position versus, like you could hire a big giant name, but I'm not famous, but I do have the business skills and the proof to back up that my content actually does convert for brands.
I don't know. I think you're pretty famous. You pop up on my phone with brands all the time. I'm like, oh, it's Jenna. As a matter of fact, I have friends and family that will text me and say, hey, is this Jenna? I'm like, yes, that's Jenna.
Mm-hmm.
You do pop up, on a lot of people's feeds. And it's interesting. It's always fun to see you pop up and see, you attach to a brand in a particular way.
That's the interesting thing, though. It's not my name that's posting that. It'll be the brand that does the posting.
Exactly.
Versus my, and I do have a little platform of my own, but most of the time, if you're seeing that stuff, it's going to be the brand's post. And that's like, I sell the rights to the videos to them, and then they run the ads on them or they post them to their feeds. And then it just scales from there.
Right. And I know you've had a bunch of very viral videos that have done really, really well for people.
Mm-hmm.
But what's it feel like when a video doesn't hit?
You got to get over it. When you first, that's what a lot of people will say to me. What if my videos get 0 views? What if I try? And then I'm like, you have to get over it's an ego thing. You got to get over your ego. Like 90% of my videos don't hit. If I had to, make an estimate, especially for the affiliate marketing that I do, most of those are not going to do well. But you get the 1 or 2 that gets the crazy traction, and that will cover your rent for the month, for example.
Right. So what is it like to work with a brand when the videos don't hit, or maybe 1 hits out of 10? What's that look like for the client?
That's where it kind of ties into the relationship and personality matching, and knowing that this person has an understanding of the back end of Meta advertising, TikTok advertising. That person has to know when they're going into this that I have no control over how the video does. I can put all of my knowledge, all of my strategy into a video that will convert, but let's say their landing page sucks. Then they're not going to make any conversions. Like, that's extremely out of my hands as the content creator. So they have to know how many elements go into it that are not only out of my control, but sometimes out of their control too.
Sure.
Sometimes the algorithm shuts off for the day that they decide to run the ad. Sometimes TikTok will go dark for a few hours when the ad first starts running, let's say. And all that's out of your control. And that's comes with part of the relationship building that I've narrowed down, like up until very recently, that like we're kind of on the same page, that we have the same general understanding of all of the 9 of these could suck. The 10th one could be the winner. But it comes from, okay, what about this winner did well, and what can we do to implement this into the next round? That's where the difference between me and somebody else could show through and say, okay, what about this did well? What about these didn't do well? And let's never do that again.
So it's about the relationship. It's about refining either the messaging, the environment, the images, whatever it is about the video that you all say, maybe we'll change that. Or we're not going to do this again because this really didn't work. Right.
Yes.
So it's about working with them and understanding the brand, and then what you have control over and what you don't.
Yes, because I wouldn't want to work with somebody who, let's say we do 3 videos together and they all flop and then we never speak again. That's not the kind of relationship that I want to build, because, and then, or worse, they blame it on me. And I'm like, okay, I'm sure that there's, things we can evaluate to make the next round do better, but you can't assume that this didn't pay off or that this was a waste of time or whatever, just because these videos didn't do well.
Right. So because you're an entrepreneur, and you were born an entrepreneur, you have an opportunity, and I suspect you're a little curious about all the different facets of all the different businesses online, right? So anything you want to share about any other part of what you're researching, what you look at, how you evaluate, an opportunity online?
Yeah, I've been really focused on affiliate marketing for one, because, like a few years ago or even just a few months ago, content creation was exclusively, here's your flat rate for the video. Nice doing business with you. Hope it performs. But now with affiliate marketing, there's no ceiling for both the creator and the brand. Like I will still do those one-off partnerships or flat rate only partnerships, but now it's like we could take this to the moon if we work out a little bit of a different agreement with either commission-based collab based on sales or an ad spend collab based on how much ad spend, video gets. And TikTok Shop really is like the home for that right now. It's the main place to be. But there's other sites right now that, one is called Tribe, one of them is called Hyperbeam, which my content manager is creating for himself. And basically the people for these smaller apps, TikTok Shop is a massive universe that has everyone and their mother on it. But for these smaller apps that are focused on meta ad spend, they're more relationship based at this point because they're so new. And I know that these ads, like, I know that I'm talking to the founders of the brands directly. We are building those long-term relationships. And it's more of a gamble in this way sometimes because often there's no flat rate. So I could make 10 videos again and they all flop, but I want to know what we could do for this next round that could improve. And it's a long game, but it's a very interesting one because this, you could have one video that runs for months or years and it just skyrockets to the moon for the brand and for the creator. So it's very mutually beneficial in some ways.
So part of your expertise comes from staying current and doing research and knowing the marketplace, where things are happening, what's popping, and where new creators can be found and new brands can be found. It sounds to me like it just doesn't stop.
No, which, my screen time is crazy. And, some people call it doom scrolling, which it is. But I feel like a lot of times I'm even subconsciously scrolling on my TikTok for fun after a long day. And then I'm coming across new products to promote or new brands to talk to.
And so doom scrolling for you, though, is work. There's a lot of, it's research. There's a lot to be learned there.
That's what I like to tell people, that I'm working when I'm scrolling on TikTok, at least.
And so just one more thing, and I know we're coming close to the end of our time, but how has the last 18 months of an AI explosion, how's that impacted you?
A lot of negative Nancy's or people who want to see, especially female creators, fail comes from perspectives of like 19-year-old boys in their parents' basements. They say AI creators are going to take over. AI creators are going to put you out of work. I see these posts every single day, and it hasn't happened to me yet, for one. And two, I see AI ads regularly. They're scary looking. I don't care how realistic AI is going to be. People like you, then you open the comment section to these ads, people want to buy from real people. And they're mad. I'm like, I personally, I'm not supporting a company as a consumer that uses AI and doesn't hire real people, because it's lazy and it's a shortcut that I don't appreciate as somebody obviously in the space, and it's just wasteful too. Wasteful of resources. But there are ways that I've incorporated AI in my business that have, streamlined things. I use it to help me curate some posts, some ideas. I use it to help me with script writing. I don't solely use it for those things. I still do things in my own voice, but it is really nice to just give it spit a few words into it, and then it gives you somewhere to start. If especially on days like with a creative job like this, I just feel so burnt out and I have to start somewhere, and it's a really good place to just even brain dump, and it gives you back something to work with.
I could not agree with you more. Sometimes staring at a blank page is painful.
Yes.
And it's like, I just need the first 5 sentences, right?
Mhm.
So it's been really helpful like that. Even if I never use anything it gave me, right? It was a place to start to get my mind to think in those terms. So agree, completely agree. And now you can build almost anything. I've
Yeah.
come across building tools that are insane. Something that I wanted to build for years and years and years, I built it in a half hour.
It's crazy.
And now I'm testing it.
Mhm.
It just took away the whole barrier of creation, right? So finding the developer, finding a designer, finding, the right people who understood your vision. Nope, tweak it like this, tweak it like that. Could have been $50,000, right?
Yeah.
In just getting a product that could be tested, right? To prove concept. All those barriers are taken away now. So I still believe we're kind of living in a remarkable time where anything's possible. And, watching you and how your career's developed and what you've been able to do as a young woman, and, some of the challenges you've had, and, what you're building personally from choosing this path, it's remarkable. So kudos to you. Yeah,
Thank you.
been great. It's been great. Is there anything else you want us to know about Jenna Libman?
I guess I could finish off with the fact that a lot of us creators, especially who have been in the space and made brands millions of dollars, we think, why can't we do this for our own brand? If we could make this content and scale a brand for other people and make other people lots of money, why can't we do that for ourselves? So I have been trying to execute, and it's still very much in the early stages. I've been trying to build an airport loungewear brand, has been my latest hyperfixation. And I'm very ADHD. I pick a new thing to focus on every month. But because of the fact that I've already put some money into this, like, it has to happen now. It has to come to fruition. I've told too many people about it. I'm telling you guys about it. So there's no getting bored. There's no backing out at this point. So that's what I am working on next, just with that mentality in mind of I've made a lot of people, a lot of brands, a lot of money. So I think I want to try it for myself. And I talked to a friend recently who, same thing, she's in content creation. She did a short little clothing brand for a spell. And when she stopped doing it, it wasn't because she failed. It was because she was like, I never intended to do this forever. I just wanted to give it a shot just to say I did. I just wanted to experiment, give it a shot. It doesn't have to be a forever thing. And she's like, yeah, I just didn't feel like doing it anymore. I got bored of it. Didn't want to deal with inventory anymore, but maybe I could circle back someday. And that's kind of the mentality I want to take on with this, that it may not be I have no intention of making it my number one priority, but it's just something I want to try. Because if you
Go
fail,
for it.
it's who cares? Like, it's not the end of the world. But just to give it a shot when I have some extra time and extra income to put towards it, like, why would I not?
So Jenna, something I talk to clients about a lot. I've done some LinkedIn posts recently about it. And you'll hear other people talk about the same concept. But I really believe if you could be comfortable being uncomfortable, anything is possible. Anything. And, your whole idea about this clothing brand, give it a shot. If it works, great. If it doesn't, it's okay. And I don't have to do it forever. That's the willingness to, execute on your own curiosity of what's possible. And it's a beautiful energy and thought process, and part of your success as an entrepreneur, because you're willing to do that.
Yeah, like, I think it removes a layer of pressure that a lot of people, especially like tying back to like when I was in college, they're talking about Shark Tank level entrepreneurship. A lot of people put everything in, like, all this pressure emotionally, financially, into a business like this. And to me, it's not like that. It's more just, let's give it a shot. If it fails, I still have all of this to do. And it's, yes, I am excited about it, but would I call it like my baby, my life's goal and passion? No, I'll be real about that, because it is just something I want to try for fun. And if I end up loving it, great. If it doesn't, like, I don't have the, like, if it doesn't span a 30-year business, also fine, and not the end of the world. A lot of people, I think, put that pressure on. If this fails, it's my passion project. I have nothing. And I'm like, that's not my mentality at all. It's just something fun to do.
Right.
I'm what I call myself, what they say is a multi-potentialite, and I just have it. I have passions and joys in many areas. I don't put all my eggs in the one basket.
Right. Which is, again, the nature of a true entrepreneur, because you're expecting that some of what you do doesn't pan out. It doesn't work. And that's okay. And you're okay with that. But I will say this only because I'm just a little older than you. I've been around a little bit longer. There are people that wake up when they're 8 years old and say, I'm going to be a doctor. It's this many people.
Mhm.
But those people that know when they're a child, this is what I want to grow up to do, and they do it, blessed, completely blessed. They've had a passion and a mission forever. That's where they're headed. I think there are people that come up with a product that feel the same way. This is it. I'm all in. And sometimes that's what it takes to get that product or that thing launched.
Mhm.
But the perspective of anything you do, that it has the potential to not go well. There are people that say, I don't have a plan B. There is no plan B. There's no way this doesn't work.
Mhm.
Okay, that works for some people.
Yeah, that could
Some
be.
No, but some people that works for, and some people it works like you are talking about, where if you just say, I'm curious, I'm going to give this a shot. I want to see if how far this goes. That's
Mhm.
amazing. If
Yeah.
more people could eliminate the fear and be okay, like you called it, ego, with failing or attempting something that maybe you have to change 60% of what you set out to do to get it done. But you didn't know what you didn't know until you got into it. And now you understand it better.
Mhm.
So it has to be modified for it to be what you ultimately want it to be. Whatever those circumstances are, you are comfortable being uncomfortable when you don't know what the outcome's going to be. So it's great. One last thing, because it applies to everything. I've said this for years. I can credit a dear friend of mine, Sandra Kronberg, for giving me the conversation and the statement, which I've lived by for probably close to 30 years now. Show up, be present, and don't be attached to the outcome.
Mhm.
Anything's possible.
Good, yeah.
Jenna, thank you so much for spending time, for sharing your background, your story, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.